Welcome to the Why Podcast, a quiet cinema of the mind, where stories unfold slowly, scene by scene, until we recognize ourselves in the light and shadow. Thank you for being here. Tonight, we open a question that feels less like curiosity and more like confession. Why do we sabotage our own happiness? The screen opens on a rainy city. Street lights blur into gold streaks across wet asphalt. Cars pass like thoughts we can't hold on to. Inside a small apartment, Lucas Bennett stands by the window, tie loosened, phone glowing in his hand. On the screen, a message he hasn't answered. "I'm really happy with you." Lucas exhales slowly, not with relief, but with tension. He reads the message again and again, as if waiting for a trap to reveal itself. "This is where it goes wrong," he murmurs. Cut to earlier that evening. A restaurant bathed in warm light, soft music, 2 glasses on the table. Laughter, real, unguarded. Across from Lucas sits Emma. Her smile is easy, present, uncomplicated. "You know," she says casually, "I've never felt this calm with anyone before." The words hang between them like a fragile glass ornament. Beautiful, terrifying. Lucas smiles back, but something behind his eyes tightens. Calm. That word lands wrong. Calm feels unfamiliar, unsafe. Because happiness, real happiness, requires staying, and staying has always felt more dangerous than leaving. Back to the apartment. Lucas sets the phone down without replying. He pours himself a drink he doesn't want. The room is quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the low thunder outside. He knows this moment. He's lived it before. The point where things are good, almost too good, and an old instinct wakes up. Find the flaw. Create distance. Pull away before it hurts. Self-sabotage rarely looks like destruction. More often, it looks like protection. Lucas convinces himself he's being careful, realistic, smart. He scrolls through old memories like deleted scenes from past films. The relationship that ended suddenly. The job he quit right before promotion. The opportunities he walked away from once they became real. Each time, the story was the same. It wasn't right. I wasn't ready. Something felt off. But beneath every explanation was a quieter truth. I don't trust happiness to stay. The rain outside intensifies. Thunder rolls. The city breathes. Lucas closes his eyes and sees a memory, one he doesn't like revisiting. A younger version of himself, standing in a doorway, watching someone he loved pack a suitcase. Promises broken softly. Goodbyes delivered calmly. He learned something that day, not consciously, but deeply. That happiness can disappear without warning. That closeness invites loss. That love comes with a cost. So now, when happiness arrives, Lucas doesn't open the door. He prepares the exit. Back in the present, his phone vibrates again. Another message from Emma. This one simpler, gentler. Did I say something wrong? Lucas feels the familiar pull, the urge to retreat, to protect himself by creating distance. His thumb hovers over the screen. Time slows. The rain hushes. This is the moment where the pattern usually repeats. But tonight, something hesitates inside him. Not courage, not clarity, just a question, soft but insistent. What if the danger isn't happiness, but running from it? The screen fades to black. The screen fades back in. Morning light spills through thin curtains, soft and unforgiving. Rain has washed the city clean, leaving everything sharper, more exposed. Lucas sits at the edge of his bed, phone face down beside him, the weight of last night still heavy in his chest. He didn't reply. He never does, not when things reach this point. In the bathroom mirror, his reflection looks older than he remembers. Not tired, just guarded, as if his face learned long ago how to brace for disappointment. Self-sabotage often begins before we even notice the fear. Cut to a coffee shop, late morning, muted conversations, steam rising from cups like unspoken thoughts. Lucas sits alone at a corner table, staring through the window as people pass, holding hands, laughing freely, moving forward without checking behind them. His phone buzzes again. Emma's name lights the screen. He doesn't open it. Instead, he opens an old memory, a flashback. Different city, different life. Lucas, younger, standing in a hospital hallway that smells like antiseptic and fear. He remembers the sound, machines beeping steadily until they didn't. He remembers being told, too calmly, that love doesn't always get to stay. No dramatic goodbye, no closure, just absence. When happiness leaves without warning, the nervous system remembers. And later, when happiness returns, the body reacts as if danger has arrived. Back in the cafe, Lucas finally opens Emma's message. Did I say something wrong? His chest tightens, not because she did anything, but because she didn't. People often think we sabotage happiness because we don't want it. But more often, we sabotage it because we want it too much. Lucas types a reply, deletes it, types again, deletes again. He wants to explain that calm feels unfamiliar, that joy makes him nervous, that stability feels like the moment right before everything falls apart. But instead, he writes something safer, something distancing, something practiced. I just think we're moving too fast. He presses send. Immediately, regret blooms, sharp and quiet. Because the truth isn't speed. It never is. The truth is vulnerability. Cut to Emma's apartment. She reads the message slowly. Her smile fades, not into anger, but confusion. She sets her phone down and exhales, the sound of someone who has felt this distance before. Back to Lucas. He stares at his screen, waiting for relief. It doesn't come. Instead, a familiar emptiness settles in. The cost of self-protection. Avoidance feels like safety until you realize you're alone inside it. Evening falls. Lucas walks home under streetlights flickering on one by one like opportunities he never fully steps into. He passes a bookstore and pauses. Inside, a couple stands in the psychology aisle, laughing softly over something neither seems embarrassed to need. Lucas looks away. His reflection in the glass feels distant, disconnected. He realizes something he's never allowed himself to name. He doesn't sabotage happiness because he expects it to fail. He sabotages it because if it fails after he lets it in, the loss will hurt more. If I leave first, I stay in control. But control, he's beginning to see, has cost him more than any loss ever did. The camera lingers on Lucas standing still while the world moves around him. A man caught between longing and fear. Fade out. Night again. The city exhales. Windows glow like scattered thoughts no one is brave enough to speak. Lucas sits on the floor of his living room, back against the couch, shoes still on, jacket half open, as if he hasn't fully arrived in his own life. His phone lies a few feet away, silent, too silent. He tells himself this is better, safer, that distance is easier to carry than disappointment. But his body disagrees. His chest feels tight, his breath shallow. The familiar ache returns, the ache that follows every time he pushes something good away. Self-sabotage doesn't end the pain. It only postpones it. Cut to a memory. Late afternoon sunlight, a childhood bedroom. Lucas, much younger, sitting on the edge of his bed while voices argue behind a closed door. He remembers the sound of his name spoken in frustration, in exhaustion, in a tone that made him feel like he was too much and not enough at the same time. No one told him how to feel safe, so he learned how to disappear. When love feels unstable, distance becomes a skill. And later, when stability arrives, the nervous system panics because calm feels unfamiliar to a body raised on chaos. Back to the present. Lucas reaches for the phone, stops, reaches again. A message finally arrives. Not long, not dramatic, just honest. "I don't need perfection," Emma writes. "I just need honesty." Lucas closes his eyes. The words hit harder than anger ever could. Honesty means staying, means explaining, means letting someone see the part of you that's afraid happiness won't last. His fingers tremble, not because he doesn't know what to say, but because he does. "I'm scared," he says aloud, as if practicing the line before stepping on stage. He types slowly, defaults once, types again. This time, he doesn't erase it. "I pull away when things feel good, not because of you, but because I don't trust myself to survive losing you." He stares at the screen, heart pounding. This is the moment he usually escapes from. He presses send. The silence afterward feels unbearable, but different, like standing in open air instead of hiding behind walls. Cut to Emma reading the message. She sits still, breath soft, eyes thoughtful. She types back slowly. "Thank you for trusting me with that." Lucas exhales. A long breath he didn't realize he was holding. Not relief, not resolution, but something rarer. Permission. Permission to be imperfect and present at the same time. Lucas stands and walks to the window. Outside, the city keeps moving. People crossing streets, lights changing, life continuing whether he's ready or not. He realizes something quietly, without drama. Every time he sabotaged happiness, he was trying to outrun a future pain by choosing a familiar one now. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar joy. But safety isn't the same as fulfillment, and protection isn't the same as love. Lucas rests his forehead against the cool glass. For the first time, he doesn't step away from the feeling rising inside him. Fear, hope, vulnerability, all sharing the same space. He doesn't know how this story ends, but for the first time, he's willing to stay in the scene long enough to find out. Fade to black. Morning arrives quietly. No dramatic sunrise. Just light slipping through the curtains, touching the room as if asking permission to stay. Lucas wakes on the couch, neck stiff, phone still in his hand. For a moment, he doesn't remember why his chest feels lighter, only that it does. He sits up slowly, checks the screen, a message from Emma sent while he slept. We don't have to rush. I just want to keep choosing honesty. Lucas reads it twice, then a third time. Not searching for danger this time, but letting the words land where they're meant to. Sometimes happiness doesn't demand certainty. It asks for presence. Cut to a walk through the city. Lucas moves differently today. Not faster, not slower, just more here. He notices small things, the warmth of sunlight on brick walls, the sound of footsteps behind him, the smell of coffee drifting from an open door. For years, he lived as if joy were a fragile object, something to hold carefully or keep at a distance. But now, he wonders if joy is more like weather, arriving when it does, leaving when it must, never meant to be controlled. Lucas meets Emma later that afternoon. A park bench, open space, no walls to hide behind. They sit side by side, not touching at first. Words come slowly, not rehearsed, not defended. "I'm afraid," Lucas says. Not apologetically, not dramatically, just honestly. Emma nods. "So am I," she replies. The admission doesn't break the moment, it deepens it. Lucas realizes something then. Happiness was never sabotaged because it was undeserved. It was sabotaged because it was unfamiliar to a nervous system trained to expect loss. We don't destroy happiness because we hate it. We destroy it because we're afraid of how much it matters. Later that evening, Lucas returns home. The apartment feels the same, but he doesn't. He sits by the window, watching the city settle into night. This time, he doesn't scan for exits. He doesn't plan the escape. He lets the feeling be what it is, uncertain, warm, real. "I don't need to protect myself from every possible ending," he says softly. He understands now. Self-sabotage was never about weakness. It was a survival strategy that stayed too long. And survival, while necessary once, is not the same as living. Lucas doesn't promise himself that this relationship will last forever. He doesn't promise that happiness won't hurt. He promises something smaller and braver. "I will stay as long as it's honest." The city lights flicker on one by one, like small acknowledgments that darkness and light have always shared the same space. Fade out. Thank you for spending this time with me on the Why Podcast. If you've ever pushed away something good, not because it was wrong, but because it felt too real, remember this: self-sabotage is not a character flaw. It's a sign that your heart learned how to survive before it learned how to trust. You don't need to rush your healing. You don't need to force certainty. You only need to notice when fear is driving and gently take the wheel back. Until our next question, be kind to the parts of you that learned to protect themselves and brave enough to let happiness stay a little longer than feels safe. I'll see you again in the next episode of the Why Podcast. Goodbye.